The vaccination debate has hit the headlines again after some politicians suggested a plan to allow childcare centres to ban kids who haven't been vaccinated. At the same time, figures were released that show immunisation rates in some parts of New South Wales have hit record lows. Here's more. Way before you were born, there was a disease that kids sometimes got called polio. In the worst cases, it caused incredible pain, lifelong deformities, and sometimes death. These kids were just some of around 40,000 people who contracted the polio virus in Australia between the 30s and the 80s. Overseas, it had a big impact too. In America, in just 1 year, 57,000 cases were reported. 21,000 of them were left with some paralysis for life, and more than 3,000 died. In Australia today, the number of new cases of polio is 0. This is how polio is tracking now. What was a huge problem has now almost disappeared. So the big question is, what happened right here? How was the polio war all but won? Experts say this was the magic bullet. The first polio vaccine was given out here in 1956, and pretty soon rates of the disease dropped dramatically. You see, diseases like polio need people to live in to be able to spread. Vaccinations make that pretty hard, so if the disease has nowhere to live and grow, it can die out. That means that vaccines aren't just about protecting you from a disease, they're about protecting everyone around you too. Polio isn't the only illness kids are vaccinated against in Australia. Here are the others. In Australia, more than 90% of kids are immunised. But why is that figure not 100%? It's free and it's pretty easy. So why would people say no to protecting themselves and others against disease? Well, if you look on the internet, you'll find some groups of people who don't agree with vaccination. Some say vaccination can cause serious side effects and that babies have died or been left with disabilities after being vaccinated. But the World Health Organization, along with nearly all doctors and scientists, disagree, and they're worried too many people are listening to the wrong advice. They say any side effects from vaccinations are very rare and usually very minor. But despite that, in some areas of New South Wales, the rates of vaccination are dropping dramatically to now below 50%. The New South Wales opposition is so worried about it, they want to give childcare centres the option to exclude kids who haven't got a jab. Parents often rely on childcare centres, and it's hoped that giving childcare centres the choice of blocking unvaccinated children will convince their parents to change their minds. The state opposition say this will work to lift immunisation rates and protect more kids. But anti-vaccination groups say it's not fair. And some others feel that the idea goes too far and that parents should be educated about vaccinations rather than being forced into accepting them. But the politicians say the aim isn't to exclude people, but to encourage them to do the right thing. Because medical experts fear that if vaccination rates keep falling, diseases we used to fear, but now don't even think about, could make a very unwelcome return.